everyone, welcome back to another Drift Cars JP video. Today we're going to be doing a review, just a 10-minute quick review on my 370 GT Skyline. I've had this car for about a year and a half now. I've done a few little mods to it, nothing too sort of over the top, because this is my daily driver and I use this every day to drive to work into the city. They're a pretty cool looking car. Like I know they're sort of stepped away from the R32, R33, R34 Skylines. When they went to the V35 and the V36 like this, it was a big change from what they were previously. It was a shame when they went away from the RB series motor, and I thought that too. I was a bit disappointed at the time. I didn't really rate these for quite a few years, and it was only until recently I was looking for a nice sort of smaller car just to drive to work every day that not to be super good on fuel, but just something a bit comfortable. I didn't need a four-door. I have got a baby seat in mine. I do take the kids in it if I have to, but they're quite well appointed. They've got a lot of cool features. This is the SP version, which is the sports performance model. So this one comes with the larger brakes, which has got the Akabondo calipers on the front and rear. You can see them on there. They run pretty good. I'm running slightly bigger tyres than what the factory recommend. I'm running 245 40 19s on the front, and on the rear I'm running 275 35 19s. Now I think the factory on the rear was a 265 or 255. I can't remember, but anyway, these fit perfect. They don't scrub on anything, and I think they suit the car a lot better with a nice big wide contact patch on the bottom there. So we'll have a look around the car. There's a few good things about them, a few not so good things about them. The looks and styling, I think the front's a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit gimmicky. I think they could have done something a bit better with the front. Like the 370Z looks really cool, whereas this sort of lacks a little bit of that styling. So the motor you got 3.7 litre V6. These ones are rated at 248 kilowatts. With intake and exhaust, we're probably looking a little bit more than that, maybe around about sort of 255, 260, somewhere like that. Service wise, they're not overly expensive to service. They just use the standard oil filter. They don't run a cartridge or anything like that. Spark plugs and stuff like that are quite easily accessible on them. You got your battery and stuff like that. Everything's sort of hidden in these. So you got your battery up underneath your cover in there. On the other side, you've got your brake fluid. This is an auto. This is a 5-speed auto one. So obviously everything gets dirty sitting inside there, and everyone sort of neglects to clean them. A few things to look for if you're looking to buy one of these. The overflow bottles leak on them, so if you get a bit of a smell in the coolant in the cabin where you're driving, generally it's leaking from there, and it drips down. It doesn't even look like it's leaking from that. And another issue with them, up the back here, there's a plastic heater hose joiner in between. Down the back here there's a hose clamp where you'll see there's two mounts there, and there's a plastic mount in between them, and that's actually cracks on them, so it's a good thing to sort of replace if you're looking at keeping one for a long time. They've got some good features on them. Got the projector headlights on them. The upper models also come with the fog lights down here, whereas mine's got the fog lights actually up in the headlights there. The paint on these over the times lasts pretty good. They were supposed to have self-healing paint on these when they come out, whereas I don't know if this is, mine's got a few little marks in the paint, which it's gone a little bit funny in the clear. And mine has a few little small marks in the clear, but this is a 2008 model, so I'd expect it to have a few little issues and stuff like that with them. And also this rubber here seems to deteriorate on them quite poorly, and you can't really repair them without replacing, which means you've got to pull the window out of them and stuff like that, and that's just stuff I haven't bothered with doing. Interior wise, they're quite nice inside. I think they're quite a good step up from the V35 Skyline, which I found they had quite a basic and plain interior on them. So you got soft sort of vinyl here, soft vinyl there. These are replaceable, so if you buy one that this is all scratch, which mine was, they're replaceable. They're around about $40 from Nissan in Japan. Got full electric seats. This has got an auto feature. You can push a little button just inside here and the seat moves forward for you. As you can see, I've got one baby seat in the back. You can fit two in quite easily. Yeah, they've got the ISOFIX mounts in the back as well. And my kids, they love going in it, and yeah, it's not a bad sort of car to take kids in. I don't think you'd fit adults in there very well, but that's the only sort of downside to things. These, one thing they suffer from is sticky dash. I don't know what they used on these dashes in all the cars in the 2000s, but mine's got the same issue where the dash sort of goes a bit cloudy and also gets that sticky feeling to it. So that's why I've stuck a dash mat on it. Glove box wise, yeah, it's not overly huge. You don't get a very big glove box. You only can fit a couple of things in there, yeah, which is a bit of a shame. Mine's been quite well looked after. It's pretty tidy on the inside. It's yeah, it's one of the better ones that I've sort of seen. So I've upgraded to a fujisubo exhaust. It's pretty sedate. All fujisubo exhausts are pretty quiet. They take a little while. Mine's been on for about a year and it's sort of broken in now and starts to actually sound a little bit better. So you've got a little button on the back here. Of course, this is just the it's got the remote key fob, so you don't have to use the keys for anything. And the boot's decent sized boot. It's not huge. It's got enough sort of space in there. The back seats actually fold down in this, so you've got the pull lever here to fold the back seats down. Obviously underneath here, space saver spare and your jack and stuff like that. So it's there's not a heap of room in here, but like I said, for a car that you're just using, I'm just driving to and from work, it doesn't need to be huge. One thing I find a bit of a pain on the car is that where all the water and all your sticks and crap all gets stuck and sits in here, and it's a bit of a pain. You've got to pull this trim off, which is actually double-sided taped on. So it's sort of an area I sort of try and keep clean in here, but like I said, it sort of just builds up after every time that rains. It all sort of sits and gets stuck in there. Now the interiors in these are a lot, like I said, a lot nicer than what the V35 Skyline was. You've got all the sat nav set up. What we'll do is turn the ignition on. So you got your sat nav set up in them. It's all in Japanese, obviously this being an import, so there's not a lot of it you can actually use on the system. That's what I like. They always say konnichiwa and hello to you, which is really nice when you get in. The CD and stuff like that, it has a micro, like one of the memory card systems in it, so you can put that in it, which is good. So at least, like, because you've got no USB or anything like that in them, because this was sort of right on that age when they were sort of starting to change over to USBs on the cars, which you can access memory from that for your stereo. But this has also got a 30 gig built-in hard drive in the actual stereo system, so whenever you put a CD in, it'll actually record the CD to the hard drive, and this is so basically this is all your hard drive storage, which is actually stored on the car. There's a way to, if you buy one of these second hand, you need, if you want to delete the stuff, it's a bit of an effort to get through to delete it, but if you use Google Translate on your phone, it makes it a lot easier to understand the Japanese and work out what's what on it. That's about all I really use on it. That put it back to your aircon and stuff like that, which you can just put it just for your normal air conditioning. That accesses your passenger side mirror camera, which is always handy. They've got a reverse camera on them as well. They're quite clear on these. On the top of the boot spoiler there, you can see my mate in the background, he's helping me film today. On the dash, I wish they had a few extra gauges. I really wish it was like the 370Z and they had the 3 gauges up here, or 3 gauges there, or 3 gauges there, or something like that. I think that's where this sort of detracts from the early model Skylines, where they sort of had all that extra stuff like boost gauges. I know this isn't turbo, but it'd be nice if it had an oil pressure there and a voltmeter or something like that there, or oil temp gauge or something like that on it, because that's all you can really access. The menu through the middle there's not a lot that sort of you can display, because most of it's all in Japanese. You can put your fuel usage and your consumption and stuff like that, or the temperature, so there's not a lot you can do with that on them. You've got obviously all your steering wheel controls. If you had cruise, which this one doesn't have, the cruise control would be down this side. One thing which is a shame on these, they use this rubberized paint on the steering wheel trim, and they all seem to chip off. Like, you can peel it all off and repaint it, which I just haven't got around to doing, but I will get there eventually. Down the side here, you've got, this is for your headlights. This is your active headlight, so whenever you turn your wheel, at slow speeds, the passenger side headlight moves back and forth. That's your traction control, obviously boot release. Down the bottom here, this is a slot that if your key fob, like your car, I'll just get out of my pocket, if your remote battery goes flat, you can put this into the slot there and then still start the car. That's what that's for. These other slots here are just for cards and stuff like that, which we don't use here in Australia. And obviously you've got the power mirrors, fold in, fold out. The mirrors are heated on these as well, so if you put your demister on for your windscreen, it'll actually defrost the mirrors as well. So it's got all that sort of stuff. The clock's a little bit, I thought the clock's a little bit too fancy for a Skyline, but yeah. So you've got a center console for 2 cup holders, and your other console here, which is pretty small. It's got like your connection. You can actually plug your input jack for your headphones and play your music through your phone on the stereo as well, which is pretty cool too. So obviously lit mirrors, all that sort of stuff, card holder, sunglass holder up the top there as well, same as down here. And you've also got the fold out sun visor pieces there as well. So yeah. If you buy the SP version, like I have, you get the paddle shifts on here. Now these are really good, they actually work. Like a lot of early cars in the 2000s and late 2000s, you hit the shifter and it wouldn't actually do much until the car realised it wanted to do it itself, sort of thing. So there's 2 modes. You can just drive along in drive like I am at the moment, and you can just hit the shifter and it will shift down. It'll just do it instantly. But when you drive and then just stop shifting, after a minute or so, it'll actually just go back into drive automatically like it's done now. Or you put it across into sport mode, which is DS on the dash, and you can drive it as an auto, but it's a bit more responsive. But that's the mode that if you hit the paddle shift, it'll stay in 3rd gear until you shift up. It won't actually shift up until you've asked it to do it. And you can drop it right down, and it'll actually blip the revs too, so it doesn't shift hard or anything. So if you boot it like that and then shift up like that, and then it'll shift straight back down if I wanted to shift back down, which is a pretty good feature, like for it to work well. It works really well, the shifters on these. Okay, what we'll do now, we'll do a 60 to 100 pull. This is just in auto, no paddle shifts or anything like that. So here we go. See there, pretty much just one gear shift down, holds it all the way to 100. So it pulls pretty hard for, like I said, it's only an V6. It does pretty well. So even at 100, it will still pull pretty hard. But we're in a 100 zone here, so we'll just keep everything under 100 at the moment. Now this being a 3.7 litre, fuel economy is not bad. Like a full tank costs me around about 75 bucks to fill it up. It's got an 80 litre tank in it. Which I normally never let it get all that low anyway, but I'll normally get on average around about 550 to 600 just driving to and from work. On the freeway obviously you're going to get a lot better than that, but driving to and from work, I like to give it a bit of stick like I am sort of now. You can hear that intake sort of open up a bit. Yeah, 550, I'm pretty happy with that. That's giving it plenty of squirts to and from work. I don't sort of baby it to and from work. Some days I do, but you know, I like something that can eat the traffic up, sort of thing. So driver position I find really comfortable in it. Your seat's height adjustable as well, all electric. The back's lumbar part's all electric as well in it. Visibility is really good in it. There's no real big blind spots. These pillars aren't overly huge, so they don't sort of block too much of your vision when you're like approaching a pedestrian crossing or a side street or anything like that. The windows and stuff like that, like I said, it's got really good visibility, even out the back, because you've got the reverse camera, and also you've got the wing mirror camera and stuff like that too when you're parking. It makes things a lot easier, because you do sit quite low in these, which that's what you want when you're buying the Skyline. You don't want to be sitting up high in them. Now mine's got the cloth seats in them and stuff like that, so you don't sort of slide around much in them, but the seats aren't all that huggy, which Skylines never have had overly aggressively hugging seats. You think back to the 34 seats, unless you bought a GTR, you got a pretty sort of, they're a GT car, so they had a comfortable seat. They wanted you to do highway driving, which is what they were meant for in Japan anyway. So these are the same. They've got quite a nice seat. They're a little bit bolstered on the side, but they're nothing that's gonna, if you went and did a track day in one of these or something like that, you'd be sliding around all over it. But to drive on the highway 500 k's or something like that in a day, they're going to be comfortable as. The only thing, like I said, mine lacks is cruise control, which is just obviously what the person who bought this car in Japan didn't tick that option, which would be quite nice on a long drive. Okay, we'll just do a 0 to 100 now without actually, with all the traction on and just normal auto. We won't use the paddle shift, so this is just 0 to 100. Anyway, so thanks heaps for watching. I just want to do a quick video on my Skyline. I love it. Like I said, it's a great car. Yeah, it is a big difference compared to what a 34 Skyline was or a 33 Skyline, but that's the way the market was going anyway. And at the time, turbos were sort of on their way out. Now they've come back in, which is great. I'd probably upgrade to the newer Skyline in a few years once it gets a little bit cheaper. The current one's a 3-litre twin turbo, which is, yeah, it's good. It's good going back to that. It's like sort of gives you that little baby GDR sort of performance out of the thing. So yeah, so if you're interested in buying one, I hope this helps you buy a Skyline. You'll enjoy them. Like I said, take away the styling of them. Like I said, I know they're not as nice as what the older Skylines were. They don't have that sort of styling to them, but the old Skylines, you're not going to drive them every day anymore. I barely see R32s and R33s on the road anymore. When I used to have an R33 and R32, I was driving it every day of the week, and you see a lot of others around. Now they're just not on the road. And this is something you can drive every day and enjoy, and that's the best car to have, I think, is one that you use. The car that you park in a garage and use it on a Sunday once a month or twice a month, I don't get that same enjoyment out of that car, and I always want to sell them after a while. So it's something that you've got to live with and you've got to use for everything. I still think it's the best car to have. So anyway, give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to know anything about V36 Skylines, drop me a message and hopefully I can reply. I'm a mechanic by trade, so I know the cars quite well in the inside out sort of thing, and check out some of my other videos. So anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.